Live from the White House, people. Conversations everywhere. Peter Navarro, he's right in front of me. Hogan Gidley, he is directly to my left. We spoke earlier. Did Hogan Gidley and I about things going on with the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement, things going on with impeachment, how it's affecting everything that's happening at the White House, how it's affecting things happening in Washington, D.C., how it's affecting you and me. Well, really, I explained to him how it's affecting you and me. Tony Katz today, 833-GOT-TONY, 833-468-8669. That is the number. That's how you get to be a part of our game. He's taking pictures. He's gland-handing. Look at him. That's the vice president over there. His name is Mike Pence. You've seen pictures. He's going to make his way over here. He's setting the stage. He's doing his whole thing. While this is happening, of course, there's testimony going on in the impeachment inquiry, including somebody who worked within the VP's office right there. But I take to my feet right there, and that's the vice president. His name is Mike Pence. It's good to see you, sir.
Great to see you, Tony. Welcome back to the White House.
Very, very kind of you. I appreciate it. It's always nice to get the invite. The last time we spoke, you were in.
Congratulations on all your success. I just continue to be impressed, with the
listen. There's
your reach is growing all across the country, not only on radio but on television. You
were a radio host, and now you're vice president. I was a radio host, and I'm still a radio host. So I don't quite know.
I was never as big as you.
Oh well.
I was never. You're a big deal.
Well, told you, Ma.
I was big in Bedford. I was.
Huge in Columbus.
Yeah, no, I was good.
Just good. Massive.
And I loved it. And you and I know. And, my mom is probably your biggest fan.
Yeah, I've heard.
And my only hope is that she's listening today, because my stock will go up.
Oh, is that it?
With her and my stepfather.
You mean you haven't done enough?
Well, never.
Right?
Never. That's true of all.
Listen, I will tell you right now that my mother is listening, and she's telling everybody, you hear my son on the radio interviewing the vice president? Well, his brother is a doctor. I guarantee you, my mother is telling that story as we speak. We're here. This whole Radio Row is about trade and the USMCA, and I want to get into the USMCA, but the elephant in that has been taking over this city, is taking over this country, is this impeachment conversation. We have got more people testifying today, including people who were within your orbit. Where are you on this conversation? Is it personal for you, or is it just politics as usual in Washington, D.C. and in today's America?
I think it's politics as usual. And frankly, it's what the Democrats have been doing for the last 3 years. I mean, what else is new? I mean, that literally from the day of our inauguration, there were press reports that the quest for impeachment begins. I think there was a headline in the Washington Post on Inauguration Day. And for 2.5 years, while the president was delivering on rebuilding our military, reviving the American economy, nearly 7 million new jobs created, rolling back regulation, unleashing American energy, fighting for free and fair trade, 161 conservatives to our courts, America standing tall, engaging the world in new and in renewed ways. What the Democrats in Washington have been spending their time on is trying to overturn the results of the 2016 election. And they spent 2.5 years on the Russia hoax that the Justice Department found. The Mueller report came out. Justice Department found no collusion, no obstruction, case closed. We had a brief intermission, as near as I can tell, a couple of months. And then all of a sudden we're back onto this. But I think people see this for what it is. Not just in Indiana, but all over the country, because I hear it. People see it's a partisan impeachment. The only bipartisan vote so far on this issue was a bipartisan vote against moving forward with an impeachment inquiry. 2 Democrats joined every Republican and said no.
Right.
Said we shouldn't be doing this. So what's happening on Capitol Hill is a disgrace, but it is more of the same politics as usual. Let me also say, it's also a disgrace what they're not doing on Capitol Hill. I mean, did you know that Congress this week is having to pass a resolution just to continue to fund the government and to fund our military because they haven't been able to find time to give our military the resources and support that they need, that the president has requested to maintain our national defense? I mean, our troops are going to have to wait on a pay raise,
right,
because Congress was unable to pass a defense bill by this week. I mean, and this is just a couple of weeks after I sat in the Situation Room and watched U.S. Special Forces take down the leader of ISIS without one American casualty. It was an incredible demonstration of the professionalism and the courage of our military. But this is what Congress is spending their time on, not funding our military. And when it comes to jobs, look, I know you're around the country now, but can we just talk about Indiana for a second?
We surely can.
I mean, when I was governor of Indiana, I learned that Canada was Indiana's #1 exporting partner. And in Indiana, I always used to say, it's true of most of the heartland, you do two things well. You make things and you grow things. And you sell them all over the world, right? I think Indiana was the second leading exporting state in the Union. And so the president, for the first 2 years, said, look, NAFTA had cost jobs. Since NAFTA was signed into law by President Clinton and supported on a bipartisan basis, we saw tens of thousands of factories close and move south of the border to Mexico. The president said we can do better. He drove a hard bargain. The USMCA ends all the incentives to move jobs south of the border. It expands markets. It protects and promotes agriculture, especially dairy. It's been sitting on Nancy Pelosi's desk for a year.
Can I make an observation?
Yeah.
I've had the pleasure of having a few conversations with you, both on air and off air. I've seen you in a couple of different atmospheres. I have never seen you this animated in my entire life. in the entirety of everything I know about you and the times we spent together, on air or off, this is different you. This is a different response than I was prepared for. The hand movements, the gestures, the mannerisms.
Tony, I'm telling you.
Are you angrier about this than?
It's not a matter of anger. Look, the president and I, we're in public life. You take the criticism, that's fine. But what Democrats are taking the country through right now, and what they're not focused on right now, is something I am angry about. Not focusing on funding our troops, not focused on providing for our military, not focused on a trade deal. The president I was in on a lot of these negotiations. I'm telling you, he drove a hard bargain. Hard bargain. The guy that wrote The Art of the Deal got a really good deal for American farmers, American factory workers. And the fact that it's been sitting on Speaker Nancy Pelosi's desk for a year, and Congress is spending all of their time on this stuff, I think should be a source of frustration to every American.
Mr. Vice President?
And that's why, we're just telling folks, now is the time to pick up the phone, call your elected representatives, and tell them it's time to set politics aside and do something for the American people. We think the USMCA will create 175,000 new jobs right out of the gate. It'll add maybe even a percentage point to our growing economy that's already setting records every day.
And I know I got to let you go because you've got other people to talk to. We've had a lot of people talk about
I'm going back to Indiana tomorrow. I
know you are. I'm going to hitch a ride. The USMCA and creating jobs.
Yeah.
After this gets through, what's next? What is the next trade bill that the Trump administration is going to conquer?
It's a really great question because we're already working on them. I mean, look, everybody knows the president's put China on notice that the era of economic surrender is over. We're no longer going to allow China to flout international rules of commerce, engage in intellectual property theft, force technology transfer.
Does that include the attack on Hong Kongers?
Well, I spoke out a few weeks ago very strongly on Hong Kong, and And the president's made it clear, it'd be very hard for us to do a deal with China if there's any violence or if that matter is not treated properly and humanely. But look, we're taking a strong stand with China. We're currently negotiating a phase 1 deal. We've let the United Kingdom know as soon as they're done with Brexit, we're ready to do a trade deal with them. We just announced the beginnings of a new trade arrangement with Japan. We've even told the European Union, when you guys are ready to negotiate, we'll negotiate. This president's been fighting to open up markets around the world, but it's all got to be free and fair and reciprocal and put American jobs and American workers first. Bottom line, that's what the USMCA does, and that's why for all of what's happening in Washington, D.C., everyone in the sound of my voice should know their voice matters most. Let their voice be heard. We'll get the USMCA done. We'll keep this American economy booming.
That's the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence. Sir, it's good to see you. I appreciate you taking the time.
Great.
Absolutely. Much more to get to. I'm Tony Katz.